I had a problem. I wanted to build a desert deck, and the best operation for desert cards is in red. The best units for desert are in white. What's up guys, it's Bussian here. Welcome to my double color desert deck profile for Gundam War. So why are we here today? Why is this the first double color deck? Well, the game only seen 3 English releases and we really didn't get much of generation card dig. We didn't get many of double duty generation cards. There was nothing that came out that specifically would support white and red working together. And as I said, the operation is called Concealed in the Burning Desert. It can come down with 2 generators in play, only one of them needs to be red, doesn't cost you anything. As an auto-A effect, unit cards without desert battling in the earth area against a squad of all desert units cards get +0 star +0. So what basically this does is if your lineup is all desert, and hopefully your opponent's isn't, your opponent battling against you, any one of their support units that are using their shooting power won't be able to use it at all because it becomes an unmodifiable 0 is what the little star means there. What does desert do, you might be wondering? Well, desert is a keyword effect that we have in Gundam War. And what desert means is it not just the attacker, but every time when a unit with desert is up in the earth zone attacking or defending, if the entire unit is made up of desert units, you will then be able to basically tap your opponent's lead unit, the unit that's using its strike points at the front, if they are not all desert units. If they are all desert units as well, then basically you're screwed. What I wanted to do is build a deck where desert is the main keyword, but we're not using Andrew Lego's Maganacs because that is an auto win card, and this is again in that series of what would be a good introduction to a player. So this is basically a fully functioning desert deck that I've tested, where we're using Concealed in the Burning Desert, and we are using white and red. So let's jump into the profile fully now. I'll start with the units as we normally do. We got 3 copies of Zoot. It is your turn 1 unit. It's a 1/1/1, can only go to Earth. It gets quick if you have a unit card with desert in your junkyard, and it can transform into tank mode. It becomes a desert unit 0/1/1. So it's realistically your potential quick unit. Often we can use that to our advantage. Now we only have 17 units, so we're not necessarily going to be quicking these out left, right, and center, but it is a possibility, and it is the best opener for a potential desert unit. So we got 3 copies of Zubot. We got 2 copies of the regular Maganacs. Basically the same as Woad, but it comes with desert from the get-go, and it has 2 defense points as well. It's a 1/1/2. We got 2 copies of Oda's Maganacs. This is the main unit. We normally want to see Oda's Maganacs soon, and he's going to be the lead unit of our Earth offensive party. 3/0/2 with desert. When you have a character card set on and goes to the Earth or space area where it can only go to Earth, it gets +1, +0/+0 until the end of the turn. So it is going to be a 4/0/2 when we have a pilot on it. We also have Abdul's Maganacs, which is a very good support unit, but we can also use it as our pseudo lead unit if we have to. Basically, it's 2/1/2, and if there is a pilot on it, your opponent cannot play any common cards during the turn, which is fantastic. It does give us good protection against many things. For Battleship and getting us supplied, ensuring that we can not just attack but defend, we got 3 copies of Lesseps. It's a star 1/3. When this card is in the battle area, the effects of all special generation cards are negated, and that is It can be useful sometimes. We are also using special generation cards in the form of the red quick generators. So you kind of want to be careful that you play your cards that you want to play before you go into the battle. When you before you send this guy up to battle. But it's a star 1-3. It gives us supply 2, which means our main units can not only attack, but they will also be able to defend when it becomes our opponent's turn. Just for some extra card draw and that we can utilize our red generators, we have 3 copies of Gyrodoga. White doesn't really have much draw power in the form of units. It has great draw power in some of the command cards, but I didn't have spare command cards from those cards, and I thought we're already going to be running a little bit of red. Let's make sure we're not just running it for Concealed in the Burning Desert. We can also use it for another unit. This only costs 1 red to be played, 3 total generator, cost of 2. At the end of the turn when you play this card, draw 2. This is also ensuring that we can defend in space. So far our guys cannot go to space, so Gyrodoga is going to be ensuring that we have some space defense available. This and the final unit, 2 copies of Gundam Sandrock Custom. Now, whilst Gundam Sandrock Custom ideally will be on Earth, again ensuring that it leaves the team when the time comes, takes over from Oda's Maganac. Oda's Maganac is often enough to do what needs to be done on Earth. Gundam Sandrock does give us a desert option, a 516, very powerful unit. It's very expensive too. It's a 353, and it's got a 1 card restriction. That's why even running the 2 can sometimes be risky, but at least you're going to be seeing him often enough. And it's got the same name as Gundam Sandrock, so you can't have both in play. When this card is in reroll status, all your unit cards and their set on cards cannot be rolled by your opponent's card effects. Basically, it says that if you send him up with somebody who doesn't have Desert, your opponent's still not going to be able to tap Gundam Sandrock Custom or any of your units that are with him. Good card, really, really good card. It is definitely not as good as Andrew Watfeld's Lego, but again, I didn't want another Lego deck because, well, anybody can really build that. It's not that difficult. Whack him in a deck with Troa, and that's basically your avenue of winning. So this gives us a more thematic desert deck. We're also including the Desert Rats, Abdul and Oda. Abdul is great for us to get card draw, but the fact that the 2 of them work together really well, Oda is going to give us the assault. The assault ensures that we're dealing trample damage to our opponents, so it assures that we're drawing a card. Of course, we would like to see them on their matching units, just like that. So Oda's Maganac, if you have Oda on it, is going to be dealing 6 damage, gives us assault if we have at least 1 more unit behind him, and if that happens to be Abdul with Abdul's Maganac with Abdul on it, then we're also going to be drawing cards, hitting him for 8 potentially if there's no defense. Okay, so on to the operation then. As I said, this is our main focus of the deck. We're trying to draw into Concealer in the Burning Desert. Basically what that means is if we have, let's say we just have a team like this, just for the sake of simplicity, Gundam Sandrock with a Maganac behind, and we have Concealer in the Burning Desert out. Our entire team is Desert. If our opponents isn't, that means that we're going to be tapping their front unit, and every other unit behind them won't be able to use their shooting points at all. Which basically means that they're not going to be hitting us for anything because rolled units, they don't count their strike points or shooting points anyway, and we're zeroing everybody else that's behind them. So you run out with this on Earth, you're going to be getting in for 6 damage, but you need the assault to make that happen, and that's what we have Oda in there for, to make sure that we can hit through the rest. Either way, we're going to be taking those units out left, right, and center. We can tap the top guy, everybody else in the back will be zeros. That will be our main strategy. So that's why we got the 3 concealers in. And to make sure that we see our generators, we have some command cards. First of all, we have 3 copies of a new cause. A new cause, you can play it from the first generator upwards. Send 1 card from your hand to your junkyard, and then look through your nation pile and you take 1 any generation into your hand, show it to your opponent, and then shuffle your nation pile. Absolutely fantastic for these kinds of double color decks. Yes, you already lose a card, but you can use that to your advantage. You can get rid of a unit, and you can give this zoo out quick if you want to do that. Because we have access to it, we are running 2 total base destruction just to make this deck a little bit more competitive. Operation cards are scary. We want to be able to have access to removal, so 2 total base destruction has to be done. We are running 3 copies of Secession from Oz. Now this card actually has been errated. It moves any character in play to the bottom of their owner's nation pile. So 95% of the time you're going to be using this card to put any one of your opponent's characters at the bottom of their deck, and well, characters normally win games. They're so important in Gundam War. Quite often to have the character on the unit, or any character on a unit, will often win games, but the right character on the right unit will definitely win you games. So having 3 copies to character removals is absolutely brilliant. And to deal with anything else that is annoying, we have 3 copies of Reply. Negate the player 1 command card and send it to the top of its owner's nation pile. It's not a problem that it goes on top of the deck, because highly likely your opponent's either going to be taking some damage and they're going to be losing that card, or perhaps it's not going to be relevant by the time they draw it again. But more often than not, if it's kind of like a stat modifier or something, you reply, they take damage, they mill from the top of their deck, they won't see that card ever again. And then onto the generators, we are running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 white Heliopolis Citizen generation cards. And we are running 3 Glamitoto Supporter. Only 3 red quick, because that's all we need. We kind of like that it ramps. We like that it ramps because we can play it on top of our usual 1 per turn generation. We can still search it with a new cause, and the 2 cards that we really want to have them for, we can keep them in our hands. So you're only going to be able to get Concealer in the Burning Desert down when you already have Gundam War. Now, if you know that turn you're capable of, getting, if you're on 2 generators, a second turn, you put this down, and you can play this, and you also have a Lesseps and maybe an Abdul's Maganac, then you can really ramp into that, get your Concealer out, get your Battleship out, get your main unit out for that turn, because then you're going to go back down to only 2 generators, but you've given yourself that extra boost with having these units in play. And we don't really want to wait an additional turn to be able to play our red cards. We want those out as soon as possible. So I've given this quite some thought. I did not see the need to put any non-special red generation cards. But I said again, the important part is this Glamitoto Supporter is not going to be useful in your battle phase if you send up Lesseps, because this counts as a special generation card. So if you want to hold back a reply and think that when you send up your team you're going to protect them with reply, well, no, because your Lesseps is going to be negating the effect of your Glamitoto Supporter. You have to be aware of this if you want to play this deck. Besides that, this is it. So this is my first proper try on a double color deck, And just with the little testing that I did, obviously this is again more like an intro deck than, you know, full on full blast. You know, this is the best deck ever. It's obviously not, because again you would want to have the Andro Waldfels Lagov in there, but then that makes kind of all the other desert units useless anyway, because that guy has to attack on its own. You're not gonna need the concealer either, so I kind of wanted to give the concealer a chance to shine, and it can only shine in a white deck because white has the best desert units. There you go. That's the story. Now I hope you did like this little look at another Gundam War deck, and if you have liked this, please like the video as well. Leave a comment below and subscribe if you haven't yet. Peace.